Welcome back to On Air B&B Football with Brandon and Bryce. Bryce and Brandon, thanks for coming back, watching us on YouTube, listening to us on Spotify, whatever you're doing. We appreciate it. See me with the Kareem Hunt jersey back on because he's back in KC. Yeah, he's not 27, but it's still here. So just wanted to point that out at the top of the show. But before we get into it,
Kicking it off.
yeah, okay. We'll leave that in. Today we're going to be coming at you with what I'm calling a rapid response episode. So I'm just going to give Bryce some quick fire questions, quick video, and we'll go through it about relevant topics in the NFL right now. Before we get into the video, please help us reach our goal where we want to talk to you, the fans, the players, and the coaches, and come out to the stadiums and tailgate and have fun. But most of all, bringing you better content while doing it. You can help us reach that goal by hitting the like button and hit the subscribe button. And Bryce, let's do it. So, starting off, here's how it's going to go. I'm just going to come at you with a question, answer it with a brief response, and then, I'll give you like my little take on it, whatever, and we'll keep going. Starting off, the Vikings, okay? Is Sam Darnold what we thought he would be? I mean, he was drafted at the top of the draft. What were the second pick, third pick? And is he the guy he was drafted to be?
I wouldn't say necessarily yet. We still got to see how he goes on in this season. He's definitely in the best situation he's ever been in, so that definitely helps it. And it kind of shows if you do put a quarterback in the right situation, maybe he will become what you thought he was. I don't think he's an elite quarterback or a great quarterback by any means yet, but I hope he keeps doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I think we're all rooting for him, and the only thing I would have to say to it is I think that Kevin O'Connell is a little bit of a quarterback whisperer, and he's just kind of
he's a good coach,
laying below the whole time. And I think this might actually work out, and maybe JJ goes somewhere else next year. We'll see. All right, we'll go on to the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, so yeah, they got beat by the Chargers week 1, but week 2, they come out and beat the Baltimore Ravens. The team that we're all expecting to be a high-powered, high-flying offensive team.
Yeah, came back 10 down.
And yeah, I mean, what is going on? Gardner Minshew at quarterback. Brock Bowers is looking great. Devontae looked elite like he always has in the second half of that game. What's your take?
Yeah, so they're just getting the ball to their playmakers. The running game is still lacking a little bit, which that's something you need to get going, especially the way it kind of looks like the NFL is kind of going that way right now as the running games are looking a little bit stronger than the passing game. So I don't know. They were 10 down, so you, of course, have to pass the ball. But like I said, you're getting the ball to your playmakers, which that's what you brought Devontae there to do. That's what you brought Brock Bowers there to do. So I like what they're doing.
So if they keep it up, are they for real?
I wouldn't say for real just because of that division with the Chiefs and the Chargers are looking decent this year. But I think they can definitely win some games. Like I said, you have playmakers on offense. So, I mean, if they use them right, they can definitely win games.
I agree with everything you said. And with the running backs, I think they're just following that hot hand situation with Madison and Zamir. And, some weeks it's going to work, some weeks it's not. But even when it doesn't, you see that Gardner Minshew can get the job done with Brock Bowers and Devontae Adams there. So, Miami Dolphins. So, obviously, Tua goes down, and that's the big talk right now, which, yeah, we can get into that a little bit. But at the same time, they're starting either Skylar Thompson or Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
What does the Dolphins offense look like the rest of this season for the weapons, like Tyreek Hill and all the running backs, Achane, Mostert, right, whoever else? Like, what's going on?
You would say the production goes down, but so you're probably going to want to lean on Mostert and Achane a little bit more, but they are injury prone more, so it's going to be hard for that sustainability, I feel like.
Absolutely.
Tyreek and Waddle, you want to get the ball, like I was talking about the Raiders, want to get the ball to your playmakers, which can you with Skylar Thompson and Tyler Huntley? Not as well as Tua. Tua runs that offense very well.
Tyler Huntley, Pro Bowler.
Yeah, okay, sure. But you saw Tua in that game. He's in control of the offense. That offense is made for Tua. So I don't know. They're going to have to adjust with Skylar Thompson. I don't know how they're going to look yet. I think they'll still get some volume. Tyreek is Tyreek, so we'll get him the ball in space. He's going to make plays. So I still think him and Waddle will do okay. I just don't think it's going to be what it will be with Tua out.
Right. I hear what you're saying, and I agree with it for the most part. The only thing I would say is you said that the offense in Miami was built for Tua.
Yeah.
I would argue that it's actually completely opposite. I would say that the offense is built for a quarterback with a huge arm. Like
Yeah.
that offense is, a guy that, is a smart game manager, like a Josh Allen in that offense would be very ideal, where you can take those running lanes and you have those weapons too that you could hit deep.
Yeah.
Or, the quick running backs where you could just dump it off.
Mm.
And I think where Tyler Huntley doesn't have that big arm,
Yeah.
I think Tyler Huntley would be the better option in that offense. One, just because Skylar Thompson looks awful, but he can get you the rushing lanes from the quarterback, and he can dump it off. And, I mean, you got two fast guys in Hill and Waddle. You can dump it off to them, too. Just quick little wide receiver screens or slants, whatever it may be. But I think they'll be fine without Tua. He just went on IR today, so
Yeah.
I say, you could split the games, and maybe 2 wins.
Maybe. I think Skylar Thompson will probably start this week,
Yep.
and then if it goes really bad, then you'll probably see Tyler.
And that's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Next up, Houston Texans. So our boys, our big pick, CJ Stroud for MVP, all this stuff we put into the offense. And game 1, they looked great. They looked exactly like what we thought. Game 2, I know the Bears defense is legit with Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, all those guys back there. But that's a high-flying offense. Is that just like a bump in the road for them? Is that like a little bit of a struggle, like you can't be perfect every week? Or is this something to be like a little bit worried about? I know Mixon went out with an injury.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not very serious. So do you think maybe it's just Mixon went out, so they lost a little bit of juice there because they weren't expecting it? What's going on?
No, I don't even think they need Mixon to run that offense, really. Like, Mixon is a nice piece to have. He's a veteran running back that's gonna be good for your offense, but I don't even think they need Mixon for that offense. It was just you facing a really good Bears defense, a very good Bears defense that flies around and gets after it. So I think that they're totally fine on offense. It's gonna take a little bit more through the year to figure out that offense, especially with Diggs coming over. Like,
Right.
It's just going to take a little bit. Tank Dell was out this year he got shot. So, I mean, it's going to take a little while. And I think that defense, the Texans defense looks great.
Yeah.
Like, they look really good. I think if the Texans are having a down week offensively during the game, I think that defense is going to be able to step up and help them win games.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that basically, they played a good defense. It's pretty much as simple as that. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that, CJ Stroud, as good as he is and as good as his rookie season was, you're still going to see those, rookie mistakes here and there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a learning.
Yeah, he's still a young player.
He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not even close to that level yet. So it's going to take a little bit more time for him to develop and see those reads and watching the defense, whatever it may be. But I think it's as simple as a really good defense. And, your star running back leaving the game isn't always a helpful thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you can just chalk it up to that. The New Orleans Saints. So this is a big talking point for everybody right now. Obviously, New Orleans Saints come out, beat the crap out of the Panthers, and we're like, okay, but you got to face the Cowboys next week. Prove it to us then. Well, they did that. Put up, 40-plus in both games?
40-plus, yep.
And they just look like the Drew Brees Saints. Like,
yeah, they look.
I mean, Derek
really
Carr has one of the best stat lines right now.
Is Derek Carr the next Drew Brees?
Don't even. I've watched him for years.
Hey, look,
Oakland.
Look, Brees went from the Chargers to the Saints, went crazy. Carr from the Raiders to the Saints. Maybe.
My question for you though is, so Dennis Allen's running his offense. I predicted them to be. Dennis Allen is obviously the head of this team, but I think where we went wrong in our prediction with the Saints being the worst team in the league. Well, me, I don't know.
That's you. I didn't predict that far, but
I think it's solely on the shoulders of Clint Kubiak. I did briefly mention him when I mentioned them to be the worst team in the league. Is Clint Kubiak really going to carry this offense? Are they going to continue to be this team, and can they hold this dominance?
I don't know how. It's a high flying offense. It looks good. Kamara still got some juice.
A lot.
So we didn't think he still did. We didn't think he would be like awful, but we didn't expect him to get 4 touchdowns in week 2.
Right.
But it's still early in the season. There is wear and tear throughout the season, so we're gonna see that probably kick in eventually. But Olave looks good. Rashid Shaheed. I can't say his name, but he looks good. They have a really good offense. The defense is playing well. That Saints defense has always played well. It's a veteran better in defense, but they're looking good. They beat the Cowboys pretty good, so I mean, it's hard to sustain that in the NFL, of course. So they have the Eagles coming up this week. So the Eagles just lost to the Falcons, of course, but the Eagles aren't. Eagles are, I think, a better team than the Cowboys. I think so. So I think the Eagles are going to be their biggest test so far.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think that's speaking a lot for them. I mean, I think defensively, the Cowboys and the Eagles are the exact same team right now. They're the team that on defense, on paper, they look like one of the better defenses.
Mm-hmm.
But then, they got rookies on the Eagles for their cornerbacks, Quinion and Jean. So, I mean, really, is it like, I mean, is there much of a difference for the defense? And if that offense is clicking, then it doesn't really matter how the defense plays. And, I mean, I think also watching the Eagles the past 2 weeks has been, Jalen Hurts making mistakes. He's done a lot more stupid throws.
Mm-hmm.
So
he was without A.J. Brown this week. But
I think this is another week you could look for the Saints to maybe not put up 40, but I think they still dominate this game. Like I'm taking the Saints straight up.
All right. Well, we're definitely gonna see if it is sustainable because they have the Eagles, they have the Falcons, they have the Chiefs, they have the Bucks, back to back to back to back.
Yep.
So those are 5 tough games. 1, 2, 3, that's 4.
And this is why we projected them to, fire Dennis Allen in the first 5 weeks. So
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, I don't see him getting fired at this point, but the only thing I would have to say left that really stinks for the Saints is that Dennis Allen is their head coach, and you got Clint Kubiak, who's really the soul, the heart and soul of that team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets hired to go somewhere else, that's gonna right back down to earth where Dennis Allen is chilling. Moving on. Speaking of the Falcons, okay, Falcons week 1 they looked awful, but Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles. He was coming.
Yeah, I wasn't
right. Wasn't super.
I wasn't concerned about week 1.
As a Falcons fan, you were probably really concerned, but they come out week 2. Kirk Cousins leads a drive in like 15 seconds going down the field.
Yeah,
like the Eagles players had their helmets on backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, with the Falcons, I mean, does Kirk Cousins just progressively get better week by week and carry this offense to what we thought they would be on the offseason?
I think he's gonna get better through the weeks. Like I said, week 1 against that Steelers defense, the Steelers defense played lights out. Like they were flying around. T.J. Watt was there. It's the Steelers defense. It's one of the best defenses in the league.
Right.
So I wasn't concerned Kirk's first game back, how he looked. So going on to week 2, you face the Eagles. You face a decent Eagles defense. It's not the best, not the worst, but he played clutch down the.
He made him look bad.
And that's primetime Kirk too, which is not very good usually. So
last year he came back a little bit and then he hurt himself.
Yeah. So it's iffy, but he made plays down the stretch. He was getting the ball to his playmakers. He's got Bijan back there to help him out. So I think Kirk's gonna be fine.
We're all rooting for Kirk. All right, we'll move on to the Buccaneers. My pick is looking really good right now for them to win the division.
They do look good. They do look good.
We thought they might be a little bit iffy without Dave Canales, but for some reason my heart still told me to take them as a division winners. They just go out and beat the Lions and kind of forced the Lions' hand into just passing the ball when they didn't.
Yeah, Lions played really dumb. They played really dumb in that game.
The Buccaneers, I mean, their defense seems to be all together, and their offense is just clicking on all cylinders ever since they moved Chris Godwin back into that slot position where he's been his whole career up until last year. So last season, Baker had an incredible connection with Mike Evans, and he looked like he did week 1 too. But then week 2 comes out and has the crazy connection with Chris Godwin. So my question for you is, does he hold this connection with Godwin to keep that offense on all cylinders, where it's not just him to Mike Evans and the defense can predict it? Can they keep it going to Godwin?
Well, I think he's gonna have to if they want to be a legit playoff team this year. I think he's gonna need to be on. He's gonna. What am I trying to say? Baker's gonna have to have a connection with both of them for sure. Like Mike Evans is always gonna be Mike Evans and do what he does. He's the most consistent receiver over the past 10 years out of anybody.
Right.
So he's going to be fine. But with Godwin needs his touches. Godwin's back in the slot, like you said. So that's going to help Baker find him over the middle, of course. That's where Godwin thrives. Godwin just got to stay healthy. But I think that offense, if he's getting them both involved, it's going to look really good. They got to get a little bit of a run game going somewhere. Rashad White is a very good pass catching back also, which is very helpful for Baker also. But they got
injured too.
Yeah, but they just gotta get something going.
Right. Okay, well then, I mean, you could ask the same question as well that I asked for the Vikings. Is Baker the guy? Is Baker the guy that we saw in Cleveland year one, and not everything else after that?
I think Baker's the guy in Tampa for a little.
I like
it.
I don't think I know a person alive.
He fits well.
Doesn't like it.
Yeah, he fits well down there in Tampa.
Yep, big armed Evans and Godwin. It works. Moving on, we got the Cardinals. My question for you: did I tell you so?
Okay. Yes.
I know. I know it's early, and they're 1-1, and they're not even leading the division right now. The Seahawks are 2-0. 49ers as well, 1-1. But
yes.
Yeah, I mean, the question, did I tell you so, is literally just, are the Cardinals what I've been talking all off season and hyping them up to be? Are they exactly that?
If that offense fires like it did this past Sunday, if Kyler gets the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. like he's supposed to do, it's going to be a tough offense. Like I was saying to you earlier, like that game with the Rams, it just got away from them way too early. It's one of those games where it just gets away early, it just keeps going. It's just one of those games where it's just dominated by the Cardinals, and there's just no way back from it. And then you lose Cooper Kupp, you're already out Puka Nacua, you're throwing to third and fourth string receivers. Kyron's not doing anything on the ground. Like that's nothing the Rams could do to help. And then the defense isn't great this year. That offense, and my pick, of course, was based off Puka and Kupp both being there. So if they're not there, then that offense is.
And that's probably why I steered away from them a little bit and I'm more on the Cardinals side of things, because I like the Rams just like you. It rides on everybody being healthy, and that's Stafford, Kupp, and Puka have all showed injury concerns over their career, whether it's college or NFL. So with the Cardinals, I mean, I just think I want to say one last thing on them real quick, is that when you look at how they're playing right now, it's all offensively dominated. They're putting up points, but they're also getting a lot of points put on them. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was the Rams offense that was, beat up. Their whole O-line, their receivers, everybody. And that team's not going to put up a lot of points. But you see week one, the Bills obviously put up.
Yeah, Bills came back.
I think that's more of what you see the rest of the season.
Probably.
Where they may not get to the point where I said of maybe winning the division and putting up all those wins. They're going to be in those games.
Yeah, Cardinals games can be fun to watch. They can be little shootout games. And
I think, I'm going to say this with a little bit of caution, but the 2018 Chiefs, they didn't have a defense whatsoever. They had Patrick Mahomes and a great receiver and great tight end. And that's the same thing that we're looking at here in Arizona. Maybe not as great, but I think you could look at maybe the same level of production offensively for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, and they also have a decent run game with Connor, and then Benson is going to work his way into the offense also.
Absolutely. All right, and then we got two more. The Ravens, they're 0-2. They're in your division. I know you're a Raven hater, but is this worrisome? I mean, it's the Ravens. I projected them to be lower than their win total. I mean, their defense doesn't look like what we thought, and their offense is struggling. Mark Andrews was not looking good week one, and then he looks good week two, but doesn't seem to make a difference against the Raiders.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit concerning. Like, the game week one against the Chiefs, okay, you dropped that one. That's not surprising, right? But week two against the Raiders, that's a game you're supposed to win by possibly 10-plus points, maybe even more. So you're supposed to, but it's a little concerning if you are a Ravens fan. It's something I'd like to see is them losing, but it's still early. I think they'll get it in gear. With their schedule too, it doesn't get easier for the Ravens. They go to Dallas to play the Cowboys. They got the Bills coming after that, and then they got the Bengals. So those are 3 games that they could lose.
We could be looking at the Ravens.
We're looking at an 0-5 Ravens possibly, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll bounce back against the Cowboys this week. But I mean, that is a Cowboys team too that just lost. So I don't know. So
1-4 is not much better than 0-4.
no, it's
So-
not. But it's interesting. They do have the Commanders after that, then they got the Bucks, Browns. I mean, they have a tough schedule coming up.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, in a stacked AFC where you struggled to win it, last year they got the 1 seed, but it didn't even matter when they had the 1 seed. And this year it doesn't look like they're going to get that. So
No, and the 0-2 teams, it's a very low percent of chance to make the playoffs.
right, and I think you could say the same thing against the Bengals too. I mean, where they always start slow, but I mean they're doing the same thing right now too. So
Yeah.
all right, we'll move on to the final one. The Carolina Panthers. All right, they benched Bryce Young, and
Very dumb.
that's exactly what I want to get your take on. Are we going to look back on this move and just be like, okay, that was just a lateral move. You shouldn't have done that. You should have let the rookie develop. Maybe you should have let him sit out in the start of the season to begin with. Whatever it may be, are the Panthers going to regret doing this? Because, I mean, he is the number 1 pick. And, yeah, he hasn't shown a lot of flashes or a lot of promise or anything like that. But not to say he couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, this just proves like a point where an organization doesn't have the pieces for a young quarterback to prosper, and you kind of put the blame on that young quarterback, and he's not going to probably be a Panther. So it's kind of like sad to see. It's kind of dumb in my opinion. Kind of like, why you spent all those draft picks and everything to the Bears. The Bears got a haul. Bears got a haul for what you got for Bryce Young, and then you're gonna go back and probably get like a 6th-round pick at most for him.
Yeah.
So it's just dumb, and then you bench him in 2 games into the season. Like it's just a
dumpster fire.
It's terrible. Like that's a dumpster fire of an organization over there.
Right, and I get where, I mean, Bryce Young hasn't showed any promise. I get that. And he
hasn't.
Flashes.
But you gotta give him something.
Right.
Like
especially for an undersized guy. You gotta give him a line at least.
Yes, he's like, when you watch the games, he's got someone in his face every single play. Like,
right.
It's hard to watch. Does he have some receivers to throw to? Yes. Can he probably make some plays? Yes. But it's hard when you have no offensive line.
Right. And I think we'll look back at this move and we'll just say, I mean, in the grand scheme of things will look a little bit better with Andy Dalton just because he's that veteran presence, and Bryce Young didn't show anything, but he's a rookie in developing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, maybe if Bryce Young had just sat right off the bat, had a little bit more time to learn, he could be doing exactly what Andy Dalton's about to do in this offense, and they're still going to be bad because it's a terrible team. Their offensive line is the issue, and not even a guy like Dave Canales solved the quarterback.
It honestly could be one of the worst ran organizations, worst teams that we've seen in like a long time.
Them and the Redskins.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That wraps it up for us today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, whatever you're doing. We appreciate it. Before we leave, please help us reach our goal where we want to come out to the tailgates and the stadiums and do all that fun stuff, and most of all, bring you better content while doing it. You can help us reach that goal by simply hitting the like button at least, and then the subscribe button, and then the share button. Yeah, you can kick it if you want.
Kick it.
Just do whatever you want to it. Just make sure it gets clicked, okay? Please leave in the comments what you thought of this video, what you would like to see for future videos, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Peace.